Huge shout out to Detroit software developers. Thank you for bringing me in. Really stoked to give this talk. This is a newer talk. I've done it a handful of times. So if you don't like it, don't tell me. Tell me in private. But if you have any questions, like I said, hit me up on Twitter, Blue Sky, LinkedIn. That's the best way to get at me. If you're on Twitter, LinkedIn, or Blue Sky, this is the official hashtag, DSDevs. It stands for Detroit Software Developers. So if you're tweeting, taking pictures, etc., make sure that you tag it with DSDevs. And if you can tag it with this too, hashtag developer community. I was talking about this a little bit. Developer community is my lifeblood. I live out of airports and planes and suitcases for all of y'all. I don't just do it for fun. It is a lot of fun, but I love to teach and mentor and talk and explain concepts, build community. That's a big part of what I do, is building community, both externally as well as internally. And during COVID and 2020, and even still to this day, I feel like we almost lost developer community. I don't know about you, but talking into a camera with no audience is not fun. Because you can't see the reaction, you can't see the vulnerabilities, right? You don't know if someone's laughing at your joke or if your joke totally flopped, right? So developer community is just part of my lifeblood, and I'm here for you. So if you can just do that, it helps with tracking engagement too, especially if you're at a conference or a meetup, seeing what people are saying, tagging it with hashtag developer community, as well as tagging the actual event itself. I talked about this earlier. I do run Detroit JavaScript. You can catch us on Twitter. We have LinkedIn. I'm thinking about moving off of Meetup onto Luma. But we gotta, if you want to help out running this, because it's just me, and it's extremely hard to run a Meetup solo, because you gotta take care of venues and food. You pay out of pocket if you don't have sponsors. I need help doing this to keep it thriving. I don't want to see Detroit JS die. I'm an OG member of Detroit JS. I actually created this logo 10 years ago, and it's still the logo today. So I'm really old when it comes to the Detroit community. I don't want to see this just go down the wayside. So if you want to help out, or you have some ideas, venues, anything, please let me know.
Do you have any upcoming events for?
Not yet. In June, I did the Code and Coffee. I did it for 3 hours at the Capital One Bank, the cafe. No one showed up. 10 people RSVP'd and no one showed. So I sat there by myself. So it's not fun. So if there's a way to kind of bring that back, but with events and event spaces, it's hard to find event spaces. People still don't want to leave their house if they can do all this stuff online. So and we're seeing that in the conference space too. Conferences are still struggling to come back 5 years later, especially here in the United States. Over in Europe, they've come back 110%. But what is the reasoning? I don't know. But any help with running Detroit JS would be great. These are the show notes for the event. So if you want the slides, that QR code, I'll have one at the end as well. With this recording, once I get it recorded and edited it, anybody that missed the talk, they can always go back. I can provide you with the show notes. It'll have the resources, the slides, and the video. That's me, Chris DeMars, a local Detroiter, born and raised. My birthday is also 313. So being from Detroit, born and raised, has a different meaning. I also have it tattooed on the back of my neck if you didn't see that. You can catch me on Twitter at Salt and Burnham. Any Supernatural fans? All right, and then you understand the reference. What about Buffy? You guys like Buffy? I love Buffy. What about Charmed? Old Charmed or New Charmed? That's right, Old Charmed. It's always Old Charmed. All right. What about Stranger Things? All the hands usually go up when you're talking about Stranger Things. Nobody wants to put their hand up for Buffy or Charmed. It's like, Stranger Things, hands go up. So you can also catch me on Blue Sky, chrisdemars.net. I'm a senior developer advocate at TuxCare. Well, what is a senior developer advocate? Senior developer advocates, we work under a mission of developer relations. I don't call it a team. DevRel to me is not a team, it's a mission. And depending on who you talk to, that's a developer advocate. Everybody's going to have a different story. Everybody's going to have a different definition of what DevRel and developer advocacy is. I am the bridge between you, the community person, and the company and or product adjacent technology to help you learn and teach and mentor, but I am also there to help learn as well. I'm an ambassador to the community, so that means writing blog posts, building getting started guides, speaking, talking about product or product adjacent things. Not here to sell you anything, and I'm not talking about TuxCare in this talk at all, so you don't have to worry about it, but if you want to know more, like I said, hit me up and we can chat. But yeah, that's what I do at TuxCare. TuxCare, we have a handful of different products. We do live rebootless patching for Linux systems, all types of Linux distros. The one thing that I cover end-of-life, endless lifecycle support for end-of-life products. So is everybody familiar with end-of-life at ELS and EOL? Cool. So like we offer, on the front-end side, we have Next, we do security patching for Angular, AngularJS, older versions of that, Python.NET, Spring Framework on the back-end side, so a bunch of cool stuff there. I'm also a big believer in cryptids, especially Bigfoot, ghosts, and UFOs, or UAPs. Anybody believe in Bigfoot? Come on.
UAVs, yes.
Okay, perfect. Then you're going to love this talk. What about ghosts? So, one person for UAPs and UFOs.
UAPs.
All right. Big dog, you're looking at me like, I don't know what I tell this cat I had a sighting. Yeah, I know you. I can see it in your smile. Cool. Also, I would love for all of you to do me a huge solid. We are running this contest at TuxCare. It's running till the end of the month. It's a dev nightmare, dev horror story contest. If you can follow TuxCare on socials, LinkedIn, Twitter, we're not currently using Blue Sky anymore, but make sure you follow me too, and let us know your horror story. You know, what did you push to production that you shouldn't have? Did you drop a database, right? Let us know what happened, and put the hashtag TuxCare on that. And at the end of the month, we're going to choose a winner. There's going to be 3 prizes, and the first prize is a portable monitor from, I believe, Asus. So if you never travel with a portable monitor, it makes a world of a difference. I travel one, I use it on the road. It's great, it's awesome. So definitely do that, because if not, I'm going to be extremely disappointed if I don't see anything come in by the end of the week, because I know what all your faces look like, because there's only 6 of you. 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 7 of you. 7, I can't count. I don't know, it's been a long day. This is the title of the talk, Know Your JS, SBOMs for Front-End Devs. Or, the alternate talk, the men in black know what's in your JavaScript and how to fix it. Is everybody familiar with the men in black? Not the movie. You know the men in black are real, right? Oh yeah. I got some books for you to read, bud.
All right.
There's a trigger warning. I don't think I need to announce this, but this talk has aliens and UFOs and UAPs and GIFs and all different types of stuff. So if that trips you out, that weirds you out, this talk might not be for you. So question, what is this? This is the gimbal footage that came out. Have to do with this. I'll go back. What is this? Have to do with this. And I'll take any answer. There is no right answer. It's fine. Yeah.
They both confuse and scare me.
Same. Very much confusing, very much scary. What else? Do we give up? Dun, dun, dun. Suspense. There's nothing in this code like that is a hint of anything. I didn't even write this. This is from Unsplash. It kind of has something to do like this. Does everybody remember this scene from Independence Day? Right? Where the mothership is, they inject a virus into the mothership deploys that out to all the children's ships, and then what happens? The shit hits the fan and everything crashes, right? You could think about that like supply chain. Does anybody work in supply chain? In security? Cool. But no, it's just like supply chain, right? We need to be securing supply chain, and that comes with dependencies, and that comes with SBOMs, right? Something that we need to be cognizant of when we're building and shipping software down the wire, especially if someone is using our software to build their software, right? We want to make sure that it's secure. We want to make sure that nothing is getting injected into our code because we're installing stuff that we aren't totally familiar with, and then that gets propagated down the line. It's unexplainable. It can be unexplainable if you don't know what you're doing, even if you know what you're doing, right? You might not be a cybersecurity expert, but you have to have conversations with your cybersecurity team. You have to have conversations with your architecture team, even your regular team. If you're a front-end dev, I've been a front-end developer for 30 years, right? Having these conversations is going to better equip you to stop these malicious attacks. I can assure you that the truth is out there, so trust me when I say that. Any X-Files fans? A little bit? You're like, a little bit, maybe, I don't know. No. Yeah? Okay. Well, this is the only X-Files reference we got in this one, so no worries. Okay, so I'm going to kind of level set. How many front-end developers are in this room? Damn, only one? Back-end? Okay, that's fine. So I guess you could throw this across the board, but since this is a front-end talk, how many dependencies does the average JavaScript app have? Even if you're a back-end dev, just throw out a number.
6,500.
3.2 million. No, I'm just joking. Dude, there's so many. Well, there's a way to tell. You can run this in your terminal. It's npm ls. And the way npm ls, this is for an Angular meetup. This is for the Michigan.NET meetup I spoke at a month ago-ish. Some friends of mine, they run that meetup. It's out in Southfield. If you ever get a chance to check it out, definitely check it out. They would love and appreciate the support. That's just running npm ls. So if you're familiar with Linux and Linux commands, ls is just to list the files and folders, right? If you need to list anything that's hidden, you preface that with like a -a or a -a. No, yes, -a. And you can list all the files and folders. Cool, we have our dependencies right there. We know how many are in there. Well, why wouldn't you list all of them? Because that's not all of them. Why wouldn't you list all of them?
Are those just your primary, not the dependencies of your dependencies?
Well, one of the reasons is because it would be overload for your terminal. And you'd have to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. But you can do it. You can run npm ls-all, and then you'll get a list of all the dependencies that are in that project. And it scrolls for a minute, too. You can see it just keeps going and going. And going. I probably have enough time to get a water. And it keeps going. And it's still going. And then it's done. So you can do that, but you can see that it has a little bit of overhead, right? I don't know about you, but I'm not trying to scroll my terminal all the way just to see what the dependencies are when there's other ways of going about that. So that first command that you run, npm ls, is going to list your direct dependencies. Right, your direct dependencies are what are in your package JSON file in the root of your project. That's what you see that are your dependencies. And you can have peer dependencies and you can have dev dependencies, stuff like that. But your direct dependencies are those main ones. Now, as an example, this is a direct dependency. Next. Next is a direct dependency of Next when you install Next. Okay? You got React, you got React DOM, and you got Next. Now then we have transitive dependencies, and this is where the problem lies, is in the transitive dependencies. The way you can think about a transitive dependency is something like this. Is everybody familiar with this right here? It's technically a face hugger. But yes, it's from the movie Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, Alien versus Predator, Alien versus Predator 2, all of that. If you're familiar with this, how this works, the face hugger implants something into their body, they walk around, they're unconscious when it happens, they walk around, they don't know they're implanted with something. Then you get a chest burster, the chest burster comes out and grows into a xenomorph, which is like the adult version of the aliens, right? That's a transitive dependency. It comes along for the ride, but you don't really know what's going on. right? Now, if you were to open up your package JSON file for your next package in your node modules, you'll see the env package that is part of next. That is a transitive dependency of next. You don't know what's in there though, because how many of us are going in our node modules searching around for shit? I'm not. I don't have time for it. And why don't I have time for it? Because someone else built that package who's smarter than I am. So I'm going to trust them. You know, they know what they're doing. If I was that smart in JavaScript world, I'd be building packages too. But I'm going to trust them. So let's say we want to install this. We have an idea to build a UFO tracker. We're going to install it with npm install UFO tracker. And this UFO tracker, it's got a subset of data already built into it, right? It pulled data from Project Blue Book, it pulled data from the Hynek report, it pulled data from the Roswell files, it pulled data from all of these various resources. Sweet, now I can build this dope app. I got some sample data already, we're gravy. I just gotta find some more data somewhere, which is totally fine. So you're hacking on this app, I don't know if you ever vibe coded or not, you're building out this project, and now you got some weird shit that's happening. You're getting weird phone calls in the middle of the night. Your computer's getting buggy. Your network's starting to slow down. You might have fiber. And you're wondering to yourself, what the hell is going on? Well, you look in your package JSON, and you just see the UFO tracker, everything's fine. But then so you sparks your curiosity, you pull up your node modules, you go in your node modules, you find your UFO tracker package, and then you see this. This package right here, MIB 1.3.4. So now we have a problem on our hands. Because these guys show up at your door and they want to know, what are you doing? Have you seen something? Have you been abducted? Where's the data at? What kind of books do you have? Do you have any information that isn't redacted? What stories do you know? You better take it all offline or we'll be back type of thing. You don't want that to happen. That is why being aware of your transitive dependencies is extremely, extremely important. And I bring that up because there was a supply chain attack that happened a little while back. It's from GlueStack. It's an active npm attack, escalates. 16 React Native packages for GlueStack were compromised. Does anybody work in React Native? Anybody familiar with React Native? All right, bet. GlueStack is kind of like it's almost like a Tailwind, Shad UI library for React Native. So it's maintained by GlueStack. The compromised packages include React Native ARIA Focus, which is an accessibility package, utils, overlays, interactions, toggle, switch, checkbox, radio, button, menu, listbox, tabs, combo box, disclosure. I didn't put that in there. That's from them. Slider, separator, as well as GlueStack UI utils. So that was a big NPM supply chain hack. There's another one that just recently happened. Is anybody familiar with this one? The Shai-Hulud worm that just happened recently. This was the package right here, control/tinycolor. And all it is a color utility function. That's all it is. Self-propagating affects 40 plus NPM packages, 2 million weekly downloads. Severity level is critical. Now this is a direct dependency, but it is also a transitive dependency that's relied on other packages, that other packages rely on. This is why, again, it is important to make sure that you're tracking these things and looking at your transitive dependencies and what you're installing. This goes all the way to the top of the chain. Back in 2021, there was an executive order by the president at the time that put an executive order 14028 around supply chain security and securing our nation. You can go check it out. You can just Google it. I'm not going to go through it. Here's a little bit of a video. Bunch of information. I don't work for the government. I'm also not a lawyer, so I can't discern and decipher any of this. But there's a handful of sections on policy and governance, stuff like that. So if you're wanted to know more about government and the executive order for supply chain, just Google that and you will be good to go. All right. SBOM. Has anybody heard of the term SBOM? I know you have. SBOMs? No? This is great. If y'all haven't heard about this, you're going to learn. That's what I'm here for. That's awesome. So an SBOM stands for Software Bill of Materials. That's what it is. It's a software bill of materials. So if you ever heard even if you hear the term BOM, it's a bill of materials, right? So what is it? That's a great question. You can think of it as a recipe, right? To cook dinner or cook something. You can think of it as a packing slip. You can think of it as a flight manifest, right? It tells you all of the things that are going into your software that you are building and or shipping down the wire or to a customer, right? This is a great quote from Tahir on their Medium blog. An SBOM, or software bill of materials, is a detailed, machine-readable list of components within a piece of software, including dependencies, metadata, and relationships between those components, as well as humans. There is a human side to this because humans are building these tools. Humans are putting these SBOMs together. So we have to be cognizant of all of that. It all goes into the same picture. So why do we need it? Why do we need an SBOM, right? If this is your first time hearing about SBOMs, you may not know why we need it. Well, there's two main reasons, right? Transparency is one of them. We need to be transparent about what is going into our product. Like, you have to. You can't just start installing shit without knowing what CVEs come along with that, or CVEs are public out there, right? You got to be careful. You got to pay attention to what you're installing and not just do it by muscle memory because you've done it a million times before. You got to be cognizant of that. And then disclosure. We all want disclosure, right? Especially when it comes to UAPs, we want disclosure. I love this, non-biologics. Does anybody watch any of this when it was going down? No? David Grush? Okay. I'm glad there's one person in here that knows what I'm talking about. I love it.
This is so fun.
I love it. But disclosure, right? We need to know. It's the want to know. And it's not just us, it's the customers and the clients that are also using our software. It's also critical for two other main things. And I don't need to keep chiming on about it. Security, security, security. I built a career around web accessibility. Like I said, I started a web accessibility meetup years ago in Ann Arbor. Currently run the Detroit JS meetup. There are three things that fall under the UX umbrella. UX is in user experience. Security, performance, and accessibility. All three of those things are put on the back burner until shit hits the fan. And that's just the way it is. That's the reality of it. You know, a user can't use our website because the color contrast is off. Oh, we could have fixed that in the initial design stages. But a marketing team or a branding team didn't want to do it. They wanted to match their color scheme, which is impacting people. Someone that is in a subway or on a plane or on the West Coast can't access our site because it's too slow. We didn't optimize the critical rendering path when it came to performance. Well, we could have taken care of all that from the beginning, right? And then, oh man, our site got hacked or an NPM package was installed. We didn't sanitize our markup before we pushed it because we were using inner HTML if you're old school React. Well, now we have another problem. All three of those things matter, first and foremost. But it's always put on the back burner. Excuse me. And then compliance. The last thing your CEO or your company wants at the end of the day is a compliance fine, right? And there's a bunch of different compliance standards out there. There's a bunch of them. A buddy of mine who also runs mi.net, he told me of one that if you have a license where the license is strictly open source only, you use that package can only be used in open source products. And that's it. It can't be a closed source product. That chain of open source software has to continue down the line based on that license. Don't paraphrase me, look it up. I'm trying to remember. But that is one of those critical things. You want to be able to maintain compliance, especially if you work in healthcare, you work in government, education. There's a lot of compliance standards around all that. E-commerce. So let's talk about the different types of SBOMs. There's 6 of them. I'm not going to go into what all 6 are, but first up we have a design SBOM, and all of this kind of goes hand in hand, the SDLC, the software development lifecycle. We have a source SBOM, we have a build SBOM, an analyzed SBOM, a deployed SBOM, and a runtime SBOM, all 6 of these. The SBOM I'm gonna show today is just like a baseline, kind of basic one. We're not running through all 6 of these, because really you need a team to do this. You need an architecture team, a security team, right? You have to have those decisions made. One thing to keep in mind, an SBOM is not a lock file, it's not a package file, it's not a yarn.lock, it's not a bun.lock, it's none of that. It uses those on top of node modules to generate an SBOM, but it is not an SBOM. So don't say, oh, we have an SBOM, we have a package lock file, or we have a package JSON file, or a yarn lock file. That's not good enough. You can't do that. So we do have a big problem, and it might go across the board. It's definitely on the front end side. Is anybody familiar with the term typo squatting? So we've all been victims of this in some way or not. How many have put in their address bar when they want to go to github.com and they type in guthub.com? Right? Right? Luckily, knock on wood, that URL I think GitHub already owns, and so they just redirect you to github.com. But there's malicious attackers out there who will purchase domains like that, knowing that someone's going to screw up at some point, and that can take you to a malicious site that possibly looks like github.com or another site that you're used to frequenting, and that can in turn install malicious stuff on your machine, right? You also have that with NPM packages and other type of package managers. Specifically NPM, because NPM is a big, they're the OG in the front end world. There's packages out there that are misspelled, or they're missing a letter, or they have too many letters. And we think, hey, we can just install stuff. We don't need to copy and paste it because I've done it before. I'm not going to screw it up. But one of these is not like the other, right? We have npm Express. Oh, we need to install Express. I've done it a handful of times, npm Express. I don't need to look anywhere. I don't need to copy and paste it from npm's registry or Express's website, right? But you know what? Maybe I installed this one instead on accident because my finger slipped or I didn't hit S twice. Okay, sweet, I'm looking in the terminal. I got so much other stuff on my mind. I can see it. Oh, it's installing, sweet. Oh, it's in the package JSON file. Sweet. I'm not going into my node modules to find it though. Why would I? Because I trust the developers that created the package. At least for me, I trust the developers that created the package. I know what I installed. We all know what we're doing, right? We're developers. This wouldn't be a talk without throwing in a hacker's GIF. And Dade did nothing wrong if you're a hacker's nut like I am. But malicious attackers love to do stuff like this. They love to create malicious NPM packages. They love to hijack domains and misspell them, hoping that you're going to screw it up and something bad is going to happen. And that's just the way it is. Now, to care or not to care, 100% you should care. You should care about this. Because we are building software at the end of the day, and we're probably not cognizant of this, and I talk about this in my accessibility talks. At the end of the day, you might be shipping software that is going to save someone's life in a medical facility. You might be shipping software that's going to help a child read, right? It's got to be secure. You might be shipping software or doing performance work on a system in a hospital that needs 100% uptime and accessibility needs. We don't think about that at the end of the day. We think about paychecks and 2-week JIRA sprints and Fibonacci sequences when we're story pointing stuff. We're not thinking about them. We need to think about us too. We are making the world better. We are standing at the height of it. We're saving the world. We're not just hacking on shit. We're making differences in this world. Think about that when you leave here. It's extremely powerful. It might give you better of a sense of, you know what, I have purpose on in this world we call web and software. We also have increased requirements for SBOMs as well. So a big one is client trust building. Policy recs, a lot of policy recs nowadays, they want SBOMs. Process for older solutions. SBOMs are new-ish, but like if you have systems that are super old, enterprise languages, stuff like that, there's probably not SBOMs out there for those. A storage system for SBOMs, so having an artifact registry where you can store various SBOMs for various builds. And then accessibility to those SBOMs, not in the term of web accessibility, but accessibility to your customer and your client. If I request an SBOM from you, I need you to be able to give that to me in a transaction. So let's go to the terminal. And I know, how many like working in the terminal? I love it. Some people get super scared, like Vincent Price. They get super tripped out at working in the terminal. I love perusing the terminal and traversing the terminal. But the tool I'm going to be using is Syft to generate an SBOM. This is the recommended way. You can use curl to do it. You can also use brew to install the SBOM, or the tool to generate your SBOM. We didn't forget about Windows either. You can install this same tool with Chocolatey. So if you're in the Windows systems, and also Microsoft makes their own SBOM generated tool. So if you didn't want to use Syft or any of these other tools out there, there is a legit version. You can just go to Microsoft GitHub and they make an SBOM tool. You install it with Winget. If you're super wrapped up in the ecosystem. There's two popular formats for your SBOMs. There's SPDX and CycloneDX. What you choose is up to you and your organization. Even if it's your own idea, your architecture team, your security team, however they want to consume that is how you're going to generate that. So let's generate some SBOMs. Let's go back into VS Code. I'm not doing a live demo because live demos always are sketchy and it's just the way it is. So here I run the Syft command. It's kind of hard to see, but I pipe that to an SBOM.json and I pass a couple flags here. Just because the Syft wants you to pass those flags, I don't know if it really matters or not, but it's just a good practice to do it. So it generated an SBOM.json, and then the SBOM, I don't know if you saw it or not, it's machine readable. Everything's on the line, there's no spaces. But you can use a tool like JQ, which is a JSON formatter, and you just preface the next command with JQ, and you take that SBOM JSON, you can cat that into an SBOM-pretty JSON, is what I did, and then it formats that file for you, and you can sort of read it. There's a lot of stuff in there, though, that if you don't really know what you're looking at, you got hashes and references and metadata and version numbers and all types of stuff. So it's best if you don't understand it, pass that off to a security or architecture person, and they should be able to decipher it for you. Now let's say we install another package and we need to regen that SBOM. We can do that. So we're going to go back and we're going to regen this SBOM. We're going to install a package called Lucide. It's like an icon library. There's for Angular, there's React, I believe there's one for Vue. We're going to install that. Everything's going to install just fine. We're going to go check it out in our package JSON file. And we can see it's right there, 0.544. Cool, we're going to delete the SBOMs that we built because now we have a new package. We have a new node modules package that was generated. New versioning in the package JSON file. We're going to run that SBOM again. We're going to print that SBOM again. We're going to open it up. We're going to do a search for Lucide, and it's in there. Now you can do this too with a GitHub action if you want to. Anytime you push something to a dev branch or a release branch or anything like that, you can have that run another SBOM, and that SBOM artifact will be stored inside GitHub for you, and you just download the JSON file. But it's there for you. You can also run security on your security. So SBOM security, there's two big companies, two big products. Gripe is made by Anchor, same with Syft. Syft is also made by Anchor, that's the company. And then Sneak. Sneak is a really, really great company to use. In this demo, I'm using Gripe to run a vulnerability check on the actual SBOM that was generated. So you generate the SBOM, get that rocking and rolling. Once you have that SBOM, you run Gripe. Come on. Yeah, so there's the SBOM. That's how it looks before printing it. Clear out the terminal. You run Gripe, SBOM.json, and then you get a list of CVEs that are in that SBOM. That way you can start looking at them, right? And it lists the criticality, the CVE number, because they all have numbers on them. And there's a bunch of different trackers out there where you can find these CVEs, common vulnerability and exposure, and you can run it that way. So you can run this stuff also, like I was saying, in a GitHub workflow. If you want to just scan the project directory with Gripe, you can do that. You can set that up this way, and then just fill out the GitHub workflow as you would, depending on how you're pushing your project. And you can scan the SBOM in a workflow by itself as well. So you would generate the SBOM, Then you would scan that SBOM with gripe on push to dev or release or whatever the case may be. So to recap, the reasons we need this are component visibility, right? Transparency, disclosure, knowing what's going into our products. Vulnerability management, being able to see what CVEs are out there, knowing what's going into the project, knowing if something malicious is in there, patching it. Supply chain security, we do not want the version of Independence Day happening to what we are building and what we're shipping, right? Collaboration amongst teams, collaboration amongst organizations. It's a big piece of this. It's not just about the code, there's a very big human side to it as well. And then compliance. You want to make sure that you're compliant. And I'll keep saying it over and over. You do not want compliance fines, just like you don't want lawsuits around accessibility either. Here's the show notes, again, if you want to take that. And like I said, once this video is edited, it'll be edited this week. I'll get it uploaded if you want to watch the video again, and you'll be good to go. I'm closing out with this. I'm not saying it was the aliens, but it was the aliens. That's my time. Huge shout out. Thank you guys for coming. And that's me. Next speaker, come on up.